Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yep. You got me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Let's do it.
If I wave at me or something, if I bounce this microphone or hit the desk or do something stupid this week.
Okay.
I mean, I was doing it last week and you,
It's just that anytime you hit that desk, that sound reverberates through
I
the whole
understand. I
microphone.
mean, it's the boom and the springs and, um, yeah, I know.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. What's up with all these Korean ghosts?
Torch and Thing team up again.
Ah, giant bees.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Month Behind podcast.
All right. That's lovely.
Thank you.
3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 6/25/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we are NBC Universal and Fox because they paid collectively, they paid the WWE about $4 billion over 4 years.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of money.
It's a whole lot of money. So how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good, dude. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, the WWE re-upped they had re-upped already with Fox, which was $500 million a year. Couple of months ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. They just signed with NBC Universal for about the same amount, man. About the same amount. When network's getting raw,
empire on that kind of money,
dude, they are running a wrestling empire. And here's a thing I read today. They have gone so far away from the pay-per-view model, and so much of their money is being generated by TV that they're actually the ideal has been floated that they take WrestleMania and air it on network television.
man, that'd be something.
Yeah. I mean, they 2.1, they estimate 2.1 million people in the United States alone watched it on the network last year. So if you air it, well, obviously it won't be for free because, one of these networks will be paying for it. It'll be like the freaking Super Bowl, man. I mean, they'll charge a fortune for advertising. They'll pay the WWE another $200 million a year. It'll be enormous.
And if you wanted to, I guess you could either sell a pay-per-view or do it on the network, and you get to watch the live taping.
Oh, dude, it's no. You do it live, and it draws viewers into the rest of your live programming.
Dude. Yeah, but you said tape it for
no. They would show it live, just like the Super Bowl. You'd have it live, just like the Super Bowl is, and anyway, you get it. You get the model I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, do it, man. Do it for one WrestleMania and see how it goes. What's it going to hurt you?
Yeah, if nothing else, they're still printing money.
Dude, they're making so much money.
They just cable TV is trying so hard to save itself, and they're throwing money at anything that resembles something that might draw ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, why, with all of ESPN's problems, I still don't know why they're not fully embracing esports, but they're not.
I have no idea.
Sure, it's a segment they cover, but dude, they were showing, what was it? It was something stupid on ESPN2 the other day. Oh, it was the World Championship of cornhole.
Yes, that happens about this time of year.
Yeah. Nobody cares about the World Championship of cornhole.
No.
They could have been showing any of the other esports that are going on instead of people literally tossing bing bags at wooden boards.
It's actually a pretty big sport, but I don't think it translates to TV.
No, not at all.
No.
I don't know. What is making big news on ESPN is LeBron James going to the Lakers.
There's another $500 million deal for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think he only made 155 million for 4 years, was it?
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He's making at least twice that much in endorsements. So,
dude, his deal with Nike is $1 billion alone.
Yeah. I mean, that dude's raking in the money, dude.
He absolutely is, man. It's
I mean,
it's insane.
They call him King James for a reason.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
He's not much older than I am. And I remember being like a sophomore in high school when he was playing like his junior and senior year in high school. And just everybody was talking about whether he was going to go to college or go pro. And we knew even then, 15 years ago, LeBron James is the next Michael Jordan.
Yeah. He was that good, man.
Dude, they don't come along that often.
And I've heard people who saw him play in high school, somewhere around the 9th or 10th grade, he stopped playing tight end in football.
Mm-hmm.
But had he wanted to, those who saw him play and see the frame of his body insist he could have been an NFL tight end.
I don't doubt it. I mean, people who are like him that are just born with that kind of athleticism, it doesn't matter what sport they play, they do it well.
Yeah. And they looked at his, his speed, his body frame, how well he was playing in the 9th and 10th grade. If you dig around enough, I think there's actually some clips on YouTube of him playing football.
I'm sure.
Dude, he was good enough to do it, man.
Yeah. But then he decided to play basketball and is making a lot more money than he would have in the NFL.
Yes. Yes, he absolutely is.
Exponentially more.
Yes. And it's all guaranteed.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about sports because this isn't a sports podcast. We're here to talk about comic books.
Yes, but speaking of video gaming and comic books, we talked about this when Marvel Strike Force first launched. The people that were hating on it, there's not any characters, there's not this, there's not that. Dude, they have done, every time there's a movie event, there's a rollout update to the game. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when the Avengers came out, there was a Thanos event. When Deadpool came out, there was a Deadpool event, and it was absolutely hilarious, by the way. I mean, from the graphics in the background to getting Deadpool to the thing Deadpool does. Now we're having an Ant-Man and Wasp event. Actually, to be technical, there's an Ant-Man event going on now, and then in a week or two, it'll become a Wasp event.
Okay.
And dude, it's just, I mean, they're continually, with every rollout, they're improving the game. They're adding new characters. It's just getting better and better and better. And those who hated it on the beginning are just stupid.
The ones who were hated on in the beginning weren't going to play the game anyway.
No.
Or they are and still secretly are, and they're just hating on it to hate on it. That's the internet.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Speaking of Ant-Man and Wasp, that comes out at the end of this week, doesn't it?
Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard really stellar reviews of the movie.
Everyone that has seen it seems to like it. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, not just, it was a good movie. Like, I went into this movie expecting nothing and came out blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to be good, man. It's a lot of fun is what I've heard. That's what Tom Merritt said.
Ah, he's already seen it?
Yeah, his wife works for Fandango, so he gets to see all the movies early.
Oh. So I thought she worked for YouTube.
Not anymore. She's worked for Fandango for a couple years now.
Oh. No, that's because I don't follow Tom Merritt well enough.
You ought to. He's a smart fella.
Yeah, he is.
At Ace Detect on Twitter. Anyway, if you want to get with us on Twitter, you can follow us at 6 Months Behind on Twitter. You can also email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6 months behind @gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where there will be news and notes about these books, but there will not be spoilers. But we do discuss spoilers on this show.
We sure do.
So this is your warning.
Yes. Your warning that if you have not read all these books, we're going to spoil them for you.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into our X-Men books, did you tell me that they're canceling X-Men Gold and Blue?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
Are they relaunching all the X-Men stuff again?
I don't know.
They're going along so well. Why would
Gold in particular is a great book. I think they're going to do an Uncanny book, and I don't know what else they're doing. I don't. But if you Google it, it's there.
I mean, if you want to bring back Uncanny X-Men, I'm fine with that. Just I don't know.
I don't either. I don't. It's not something that I
stop relaunching books every 10 minutes.
At some point during the podcast, we're going to talk about the legacy and what they've done, and the Marvel Legacy series, and we'll touch on that, because it just I don't think they have a direction, and I don't. Maybe they do, and they would, but you don't have to relaunch the book to change directions in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Is how many years was that book published where they changed the team up and changed creative teams and did all this new stuff? I mean, at one point, all the X-Men died. I'm using air quotes for those who are listening. Died, and Professor X put a whole new team of X-Men together.
Yes.
And it was still Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
Every time somebody farts in the wrong direction, they relaunch the book. Oh, we're changing the artist. We have to relaunch the title.
It's just not that book, man. They're doing with all of them. And we've talked about the prices on some of these covers, these alternate covers, which are just ridiculous. Every week when I post them on a website, I look at some of those prices and I'm just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like the 90s all over again.
But it's driving the distributors to buy the comics, to get the covers, and it's their business model. Their business model is to keep turning out issue number ones and alternate covers.
And apparently retelling origin stories that nobody asked for.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like in X-Men Grand Design number 1.
Which brings us to X-Men Grand Design number 1, which is essentially a history of the X-Men as told by the Watcher, with art reprinted from different books, and I don't even know and don't care. I mean, on page 43, you get all the artists whose art were used, and it's got to be 120. Then on the most interesting part of this is on pages 44 and 45, it tells you where each of these things happened. So if you wanted to know, say, where Sharon Xavier married Kurt Marco, what happened in X-Men 12 in 1965. Okay, there you go. Where we learned about Magneto's childhood. It was in Magneto Testament 1 through 5 in 2008, 2009. That's probably the most interesting part of the book. Rest of it, I completely do without.
If you want to pick up something that condenses all of that stuff into one series, this X-Men Grand Design book is for you, or if you want to catch up on that. But if you're listening to this podcast and you have Marvel Unlimited, you can do that anyway. You can just go read the original stuff.
Yes.
You can use this book as a guide and go read the original comic books where it all happened.
Yes.
Because it's all there. It's all in Uncanny X-Men from 1963. Absolutely. Till I think 2011, whenever they stopped publishing Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, then they restarted it, then they stopped it again. I don't even know.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Anyway, it's not a bad book. It's just it's reprinted material.
Yeah,
you're treading old stuff here. So, I actually didn't know what this was going into it. Was reading a few pages when you called me earlier this afternoon, and I was like 18 pages in, realized it was 46 pages, and went, "Oh, I'm out. Bye."
Yeah.
X-Men Gold number 18. Weird stuff's going on with Rachel Gray back at the X-Mansion. That's not really the meat of the book. Back on the planet Darteus, Space Hitler is doing Space Hitler stuff, while Nightcrawler tries to free himself. And all the X-Men are negotiating with the provisional government in order to secure their friends and escape from the planet. They want to be reunited with Kitty Pryde and Peter Rasputin and all that. So they set up a meeting with the government and I forget his name, but he's Space Hitler. They all meet at a place. A fight breaks out because, of course, it does. What I really enjoyed was that they start communicating with each other in various different languages, so that the aliens can't figure out what they're saying and figure out their battle plans. And then a statue comes to life, and apparently it's some sort of god that Space Hitler worships. Anyway, it's good. That sounds like I'm short selling it, but it's really good. This X-Men Gold in particular, like you said earlier, has become the de facto X-Men book. I mean, they've got the costumes again. They're doing X-Men things again. They're off in space fighting aliens, and they're just doing X-Men stuff, dude. It's classic X-Men.
Good art, good color. You know, at some point, I may Google it and find a YouTube video on how a panel goes from a sketch to ink to color. Because if you've ever seen the basic sketch, it's a long way from what you see in color.
Yes.
And that book really looks good, man. That book really looks good.
Yeah, it's a fantastic looking book.
Yeah, and it's the whole process. I mean, it's the pencils, the inks, and the colors that make the whole thing look good. Another book that looks good is Mike Deodato's art in Old Man Logan number 32.
Dude, which he is doing some of his best work in this book.
He really is. Logan, Old Man Logan. I guess eventually we're going to have 2 Wolverines running around if they ever get around to bringing him back into the Marvel universe. I got the previews last week at the cellar, and I think he's coming back in September. Okay. Finally. Yeah, sure.
He's been back, kind of. He's got one of the Infinity Stones, but we haven't seen hide or tail of him since.
You know, I was trying to think of something. Okay, that's right. He does have one of the Infinity Stones. I almost really spoiled something later in the show, but we warned you about this. So, no. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of that when we get to Tales of Suspense. Trust me. So we go to Gorgon doing a hand resurrection. I looked at this and saw, he's resurrecting Mariko. Last panel of the book, he's resurrecting Mariko. There you go.
I did the exact same thing. It was like, oh yeah, he's I know where this is going.
Yeah, it just is. I mean, why resurrect a woman who has no powers? You know, when you could resurrect a great supervillain. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense to me, man.
Yeah, so resurrect Mariko just to get under Wolverine's skin and maybe teach her the hand abilities along the way. So they're all after the Regenit drugs, which causes the guys to heal themselves. They show up at the restaurant where Logan is, and technically she's the Crimson Samurai. She's not Mariko. She's the Crimson Samurai. They fight on the last panel. It's revealed to be her.
Yeah. Which, if you know anything, if you've read Wolverine for any amount of time, you knew from the first panel who it was.
Yeah,
you didn't know then. When he walks by her grave in the graveyard later, you sure knew then.
Yeah, that's your next clue.
Yeah, like it didn't even take me anything to realize what was going on. Doesn't mean the book's not good. It's good. It's
it's very good. I mean, we're not soft selling it here. It's really good. It was a little predictable, and there's nothing wrong being a little predictable. It's okay.
No, it's fine. I mean, the art looks good. Like we said, it's Mike Deodato's some of his best work. It's going to be a good story because anytime Mariko shows up, Logan has all kinds of fun. So, yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Okay. Just on an inside baseball thing, you completely freaked me out because you either I guess you muted your camera, and I look up and you're black, and I'm like, okay, I got a black screen. All right, but I can still hear him, so we're good. So let's keep rolling. And then I look up and suddenly you're back again. I'm like, oh, you started me. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, Gen X number 85.
I take good drugs for this.
You know, all the drugs in the world couldn't make this Gen X book any good. Jubilee and this dude with no face are in love, and one of the other young X-Men is having love troubles himself with another X-Man, and then a bunch of ghosts start appearing on campus, and they all speak Korean, and there's a bunch of Korean ghosts, and yeah, yep, Korean ghosts.
For the love of God, why?
I don't know. I'm so thankful that this book is being canceled soon.
No doubt, man. I mean, I realized Marvel was trying to capture different demographics, and I'm going to review Miss Marvel in a few minutes. And
that's not Marvel a book. Sucked this week. It was terrible. I love that book, and it was bad.
That's not a book that's geared to me, but I just roll with it because it's not geared toward me.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a clue for you. If you have a Miss Marvel book and she only appears in like 2 pages of it, you're probably on the wrong track.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll talk about that later, but I have no idea what's going on in that book all of a sudden.
Unknown caller.
Uh-oh. Someone that you don't know is calling you.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, in Spectacular Spider-Man number, what was this, 298? So after being pursued by not S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, Peter Parker turns himself into the police. He's in the interrogation room when Ant-Man and the Wasp, who's also his sister but not sister, show up to break him out. What is going on with J. Jonah Jameson and the Shocker? Jonah Jameson shows up in an alleyway, ambushes the Shocker, and says, you're going to set up a meeting with someone that, with the Tinker, because I need to know what he's up to. And by the way, if you don't, we're going to expose these pictures of you walking out of this bar with no name. So from there, the Vulture ambushes Peter Parker on a bridge. Spider-Man jumps into the action. Whiplash shows up. It's a little too much for Peter to handle, and Black Panther shows up to give him a hand, and also offers a potential solution for all their problems by offering his sister, not sister, asylum at the Wakandan embassy. So yeah, it's a good. This book started a little silly, and has over the course of the last 5 to 7 issues really gotten good.
Yes,
yeah,
it has.
Yes,
it has. So somehow a phone call came through when I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, but it was our biggest customer and it was important. So there you go.
Yeah, that's probably why it came through, because certain numbers will come through even through Do Not Disturb.
Okay, well that explains that then, because it was he's important. Anywho.
Spider-Gwen number 27, still doing the Gwenom thing. Some crooked cop is having a bad night at the bar and decides he's going to turn on Matt Murdock. Well, Matt Murdock's not having that, so Matt Murdock's going to kill him. But the reason he decides to turn on Matt Murdock is because he's in his crappy apartment when Gwen shows up, and of course she's evil now. So she sends all these spiders after him, and they're crawling all over him, and she's kind of like whispering and getting in his head and driving him insane. And she hangs him from the roof of a building and threatens to drop him if he doesn't turn on Matt Murdock. Frank Castle shows up with a glove of power that shoots beams. I don't know where he got that, but okay. They decide to team up together in order to take on Matt Murdock, and we'll see how that works out for him, because I have a feeling that's not going to work out.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Art in this book is phenomenal. Has been from the get-go, but it just keeps getting better. Robbie Rodriguez is doing the art, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Jason Latour is doing great writing on this. Hold on.
Hello.
Huh. No, the art is Veronica Fish and Olivia McGrath. But it sure looks like Rodriguez's art. Huh, that's weird.
Okay.
I mean, I can't tell them apart, which is probably why they picked those artists. But anyway, Jason Latour also does the art for Southern Bastards with Jason Aaron, who writes it. And man, that it's an Image series, so it doesn't pertain to this podcast, but it's probably one of the best series that's come out in a long time.
Okay. I will try and find time to find it and read it.
Yeah, it takes place in Alabama.
Yeah, we discussed it before.
Have we? Okay. I read some more of it this week, so I'm kind of, I'm in the mood.
Yeah. Next, we have Venom number 159, where, see, you've gone black again. Just freaks me out. You got Venom number 159, where this continues. So what's the series called? Venom Incorporated. Excuse me. Venom Incorporated.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it opens with Eddie Brock just having a mental meltdown because he's been separated from the symbiote. And I'll come back to that. Then we have Peter, Spider-Man, and the Anti-Venom finding all of the gang. They're at the Black Cat Club, and Black Cat's been converted, and Venom is trying to get out to get to Eddie Brock. And it's a great fight scene. They're on page 13. Did you read this book?
No.
Okay.
I think I flipped through it. Is that Hammerhead that's in this?
Oh yeah, the Hammerhead is.
Okay. How is he in this when he's dead?
We're going to discuss that in a moment. Just
okay.
Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought till we get to Uncanny Avengers number 30.
Okay.
Okay. It's been a while since I've had some rants and some meltdowns, but there may be some coming. So page 13 of this, there's two characters that honestly look like Spawn. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you draw chains on them, they're Spawn. I'm like, I don't even know who these guys are. I really don't care. You got the living laser. You got the dude with the eyeball for a head from Original Sin.
Yeah.
You got Hammerhead. But these two dudes look like Spawn, man. So anyhow, Black Cat finally breaks free. Eddie finally catches up with his symbiote. And then they're going to have a throwdown.
All right, then.
Continue next week in Amazing Spider-Man 793. That last page, and page 32 is where 22 is where they really look like Spawn.
Yeah. Maybe it's an homage. We'll call it that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll do that.
Todd McFarlane would probably call it copyright infringement, but we'll call it an homage.
Todd McFarlane may be suing him over it for all we know. All right.
I don't think things like Venom 159 show up on Todd McFarlane's radar.
Copyright infringements do.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna catch his attention.
So anywho, Avengers number 30 is basically a wrap-up issue to the series, because at the end you realize that either next week or a week after we're going to get Avengers number 1. Yes, another Avengers number 1. Then a few months after that we're going to get another Avengers number 1, but we've already beat on that horse. So they're wrapping up
that horse. It's still alive. It's still breathing.
Dude, I mean, they're canceling this book and rolling everything into the ongoing Avengers series.
Yeah. Avengers No Surrender or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
So and this is the last issue of Uncanny Avengers?
Yes.
You've got flip through it.
You got Wanda breaking up with Simon. You got Rogue hitting on Human Torch. Then you have Dr. Voodoo showing up and hitting on Wanda, and then they kiss. And then we're back in Avengers Mansion, and where Steve Rogers tells Rogue what a great job she's done. And here's my issue. Okay. One of the things that separated Marvel from DC when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the Marvel Universe is that everything was connected.
Yes.
Okay. if you saw Iron Man in an issue of Fantastic Four, the next time you saw Iron Man in either his own book or Avengers, it would be referenced, oh, he was over in Fantastic Four yesterday and did this and this. Because the universe, what am I looking for here? It was a linked universe.
A shared world.
It was a shared world. Okay. So we've already discussed the fact that Hammerhead was killed in Defenders, I believe.
Defenders #7. Yeah.
And here he is in Venom 159. The real problem I have with this is Johnny Storm is a billionaire here in Uncanny Avengers. When we get to Marvel 2-in-1 in a few minutes, it may not happen in the first issue. You get the idea in the first issue, but eventually you're going to figure out he's broke. Okay, so
which one is it?
How does he go from a billionaire to being broke? I understand if you want to do it with Steve Rogers as a plot device, but it's just bad editing when you're not even coordinating the characters in your books.
Yeah. A lot of people bang on editors for like spelling errors. That's actually not an editor's job. This is an editor's job.
Yes, to make sure, okay, if Johnny Storm appeals over here and he's a billionaire and he doesn't appear over here and he's penniless.
And like, okay? I get it. You're putting out a ton of books every month. Sometimes there might be a mistake or two, or like there a slight continuity error, but this is a big deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll on. I'm just gonna keep going here. In Tales of Suspense #100, which really isn't 100, by the way, because if you see the legacy breakdown, this is really like Tales of Suspense #106. So they screwed up the legacy numbering, but they wanted the number 100. So whatever, we get a number 100. So you get Hawkeye at a funeral, and it's a funeral of a Russian mobster, and it's kind of funny because the funeral home catches on fire and there's lots of gunfights. And
the funniest thing is when they reveal it as Hydra agents, they all pull out their guns, and on that page there's an elderly lady who has the biggest gun of all of them.
Yes, because they're all Hydra agents.
Yeah.
So Clint is chasing the Hydra agents because he's convinced that Black Widow's alive. Okay, and that's why he's chasing him. And eventually he chases him to Churnia, which is the same place where Punisher / Iron Punisher or War Machine Punisher, or whatever we're calling him is. That's where he is also. And there he thinks Natasha's trying to kill him, except it turns out to be Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and they're both convinced that Natasha's still alive, and they're both hunting for Natasha. The problem is, I'm trying to think of when this... I got all this messed up in my head because there was Marvel Legacy. Well, sometime, if it didn't happen in Marvel Legacy, and it hasn't come out yet, the first Infinity Countdown book is going to come out, and you're going to learn that the Black Widow is alive. So you're publishing a 5-issue series where they're trying to figure out if she's alive or not. But in the first Infinity book, which is, I think it's going to coincide with Guardians #150 in 2 weeks, you'll find out she's alive. Again, this is editorial stuff, man. How do you not fix this, dude?
I don't know. To me, it tells me that the creative teams aren't working together. That the team that's doing this book and the team that's doing that book have no communication, and that is the editor's job as well, is to coordinate that.
Yes, I mean that's what you have, and for those who don't know, what you usually have is you have an editor who will be in charge of the Spider-Man titles, and you have an editor who will be in charge of the Avengers titles and the X-Men titles, and maybe some of the generic books, maybe the Deadpool titles or the Wolverine titles, because there's so many of them. And yes, the creators only get together once or twice a year at the retreats, but the editors meet weekly, if not daily, seemingly to prevent this from happening.
The editors actually work in the office.
I thought they did. I didn't know if some of them still work from home or not, or if they were all at the office in New York.
Yeah, they're the editors are the ones that live in don't live in the office. They work in the Marvel office. If you go to the Marvel office, you're not going to see Jason Aaron
creators, right?
Or Robbie Rodriguez or Jason Aaron or whoever. You're just going to meet a bunch of editors.
Yeah,
and how someone can't yell across the hall and say something, I don't understand.
I don't either.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And if there's an editor listening and that would like to explain this to us or how this happens or what the deal is, I would be happy to hear their side of the story because maybe there's something we don't understand.
Yeah,
But
I have no idea, man.
For outside looking in as a reader of these books, it doesn't make any sense.
No, none whatsoever.
No. Champions number 15. Viv Vision is dead, except as we saw at the end of last issue, because you totally read past the letters page, right? She's not actually dead, but all the Avengers and the champions are there at her funeral. However, Viv Vision is actually off on some sort of it's not another planet. It's some sort of ethereal plane. It would seem that she and the High Evolutionary both, because of her actions that got her killed, have become pure information, and they are existing on some sort of plane that is just information. And that's what we get for this is an A and B story. There's the B side where this is all happening with Viv and High Evolutionary trying to figure out how to get back to Earth and how they got to where they are, and the A story, which is the morning of the various Avengers and champions at the home of the Visions in Washington. And of course, as we've seen before, Vision doesn't deal well with grief. So his way of dealing with it is rebuilding Viv. Which of course, oh, dadgummit. What's her name? The Wasp, the new one.
The Russian girl.
Yeah, Hank Pym's daughter.
Yes.
I want to say Natasha, but that's not it.
No, Nadia.
Nadia. Thank you. It's something close. Nadia's trying to convince him this isn't right. This is a disgrace to her memory. She will not be Viv. She will be something else. Vision, of course, doesn't listen. The champions are getting into a fight because Nova's mad, and young Scott Summers is making it worse because he's really weird and awkward. They're starting to fight there's a lot of infighting with each other. The champions have had it with the older Avengers being condescending to them all the time. And it's at this point that there's a huge explosion. And Viv has found a way back to Earth, except now there's human Viv and robot Viv. So there's two Viv Visions now.
Yes.
It's double vision, as they say.
Foreigner. It's a good band. Yep.
Foreigner. Yep. Okay.
Double Vision.
I'm familiar.
Okay.
I just wow, that's a callback that I haven't thought of in ages. It was a nice little rounding out of this story. It was, again, what seems to be their plan is let's create an event so that we can get to this thing. The thing that they wanted was to have a human vision and a robot vision, Viv Visions too. That's where they wanted things to be, and they built backwards to get there. Yeah. And then America number 10, America's friends all unite together to fight Dominatrix and take back their school. Her abuela's there, and there's celestial healing happening, and it's a good time.
So this is Deadpool and Old Man Logan number 3. And the people there at Gen Form have captured the New Mutant, whose name I can't remember, and they're torturing her, doing whatever process it is to it. This is actually pretty funny because Logan's trying to concentrate and smell him, or not smell him, but track the scent. And Wade is just being Wade and won't shut up. So Logan reaches over and cuts his vocal cords out. And that doesn't stop Wade from talking.
Of course not.
He just keeps talking, and Logan, of course, understands his jargon. In a few pages, the vocal cords grow back, and then he's talking again. So anywho, and then this picks up right where issue 1 began, which is the people at Gen Form throwing giant things at them. Doesn't slow them down. They get inside. They rescue the girl, and I don't really understand what happens next. but somehow Logan gets captured and is being tortured by the machine that the young lady was at the start of the issue, and then Deadpool shows up and he's got Logan's claws. I don't really understand it, but that's what happens.
Yeah, the story in this book has been less than stable, in my opinion. It's not the most solid story, but dang, it looks good.
It looks good. It's humorous. It's Deadpool and Old Man Logan, and it's a plot device to get them to have one-liners together. That's what this is. I don't know if they're developing this character for anything. She's an interesting character with an interesting power set, and I would like to see them do something with her. I simply don't know if they're going to in the future or not.
Yeah, we'll see. If nothing else, she's one of the toys that they can put on the shelf and do something with later.
Yeah.
So yeah. Defenders number 8. First of all, let me just say this is the best looking book that they're putting out right now. And David Marquez is doing the art, but Michael Oeming gets a little guest spot in this book, and I love Michael Oeming's art. He's worked with Bendis on Powers for, I don't know, a decade now at least. And the book's well written, but man, it just looks so good. So Titania, Black Cat. Is it Black Cat? No, it's Titania, Moonbird, Songbird. One of them Moonbird things. The bird lady. Her and I don't know who this other guy is. I probably do. I just don't. He's not identified. Are sitting around playing Monopoly, and they have a discussion about how Diamondback is making a play, and then one of them's like, "Hey, don't say his name because it's every time you say his name, he shows up," and he does. He shows up, and they happen to be in the restaurant where he was present when the Kingpin became the Kingpin, and this is where you get this great Michael Oeming art during this flashback. It's a black and white flashback of the Kingpin taking out Don Rigoletto and becoming the Kingpin of New York. It's a really great sequence. And it's Diamondback recounting the whole thing. You know, it was at that point that he had an ambitious nature, but when he saw this moment, that's when it crystallized in front of what he wanted to be in life. It's a really good scene. Later, the Defenders are beating the crap out of Deadpool. And they beat the crap out of Deadpool for a little while. He's got some one-liners. He gets hit by a bus. Yeah, it's all good. Anyway, that's how they figure out what the Punisher was up to. There's some dissent among the ranks, so Daredevil takes his mask off and reveals himself finally. And it turns out Black Cat's escaped the hospital. So yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Red Hood, who still has the Nornstones, I didn't realize he still had those, but apparently he does, busts into a hospital, shoves one of them into the skull of Hammerhead's corpse, and says, "Thanks, now you're going to do my bidding. Now that I've brought you back to life." Did you read this?
There you go. I did not. No.
Okay. You really got to go back and read this Defender stuff, man. It's so good.
Trust me. I understand.
Yeah. It was a good book. We'll see where it goes from here.
Speaking of did you read stuff, did you read Doctor Strange 183?
You mean 383? Yeah.
383, 183, 283, 483, whatever.
Yeah, I did.
Who are the Vishanti?
The Vishanti are, you see Doctor Strange refer to the Vishanti a lot. They were 3 ancient magical beings who created a lot of the magic that gets used.
Okay.
One of them is Agamotto, who Stephen has the eye.
What is the tree up in Asgard?
The World Tree? Yggdrasil?
Well, I thought it was the World Tree, but it seemed to be magical, which is why Stephen went to it.
Yggdrasil is the World Tree, yeah.
Well, that's what he went to get magic. So I don't really understand.
It's not on Earth.
Right. But so that's how he got his magic? Okay, so let's back up.
Mhm.
So this begins with recapping with how Doctor Strange got in this mess, which is apparently every decade or two, the Vishanti have a tournament to discover who is the greatest mage on Earth, and everybody shows up, and Doctor Strange beats them all, and he's like, "Okay, I'm still the Sorcerer Supreme." And they're like, "Yeah, really, but you're not worthy." It's kind of a whole "you're not worthy" thing, like they did Thor,
Sure.
and they're like, "Okay, who are you going to give it to?" Loki Leifson. What? What? About that time Loki appears. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, that's what everybody says. And it seems that Loki is trying to redeem himself. Doctor Strange is having all kinds of problems. So they're going to make Loki the Sorcerer Supreme, which leads to him telling the Sentry this story.
Yeah.
So now we know how we got here. Then you have the Sentry, who Doctor Strange wants to help him. And Bob Reynolds, the Sentry, Bob's problem is, look, every time I do something good, the Void does something bad. And finally, Doctor Strange says, okay, this really isn't like bad. Good. This might even be kind of bad what we're going to do. So, I'm sure you'll get away with it. Then he knock on Wong's door. Wong is A, still mad at him, B, telling him he's absolutely out of his mind because Stephen is going to Asgard. He gets to Asgard. He expects to see Odin, who he can negotiate with. Instead, he finds Borson, who is not in the negotiating mood. So he calls in the Sentry, who just starts beating up Asgardians, which apparently he has done before.
Borson. Borson?
Yes.
Odin's father?
Cole Borson, brother of Odin, god of fear and king regent of Asgard.
That's Cole.
Cole Borson. Cole.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Cole Borson, because Odin would be Odin Borson. You just said Borson and I got all confused. Okay.
Dude, I scribbled the names down fast.
It's okay. I got confused.
So while the Sentry is beating up...
also just realized I only read half this book, not the whole thing.
Don't worry. I realized that with Old Man Logan as I was reviewing it, and I also realized I completely forgot to read the Luke Cage book.
That's okay. It was terrible.
Okay. So then we get to while the Sentry is beating up Asgardians, Stephen slips away and does what he wants to, which you tell me this is the World Tree, so I'll take your word for it. And he makes an offering, which is the dead dog, which really upsets me. Okay.
Yeah.
And the tree decides he's worthy and gives him a whole bunch of power. I'm not sure he doesn't give him so much power it drives Doctor Strange mad.
He's been mad before, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Remember during the whole Worlds Collide thing, he made a pact with
he sold his soul.
Yeah, he sold his soul to Cthulhu, I think it was.
I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's been a little while ago, so I don't remember.
But I think he's going insane here, and that's never a good thing.
He's been insane before. He'll be fine.
Okay. What do we have next? Oh, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy next. This was an entertaining book. Did you read this?
No, I didn't get a chance to read this one.
It's actually getting better. This opens with the Guardians coming to Cosmo's help, where they find members of Groot's race attacking Nowhere, or whatever planet that he happens to be on, and they fight of course, they have the conversation. They thought Groot was the last of his species, and yada yada yada. They fight them. As they kill those creatures, Groot gets bigger, which everybody's like, well, what's up with that? So, anywho, then we swap to the Raptors, and Robbie is after, Robbie Ryder, Richard's brother, Nova. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. He's after the other part of the, he's after the other Infinity Quantum Band. He's after the other Quantum Band. Thank you. Then we cut to where this really gets entertaining, which is the Nova Corps HQ. And all the Novas are fighting. And Rocket was going to try and talk it out and reason with all of them. Instead, he just shoots them, and he separates them by saying, okay, which of you are here not with good intent, but to steal things and to bribe people and to make yourself rich? And about half of them raise their hands. So he and the dude that's in charge of the Nova Corps take them and put them into jail. And Rocket's like, okay, now that they're in jail, now we can really get down to business. And dude's like, what do you mean? Rocket's like, well, they confess to being thieves and crooks and, these sort of things. Those guys I could deal with. The ones that didn't confess, those are your spies. So sure enough, they go back upstairs and they're communicating with the Raptors when they get up there. So they let the other guys that were in jail out to go fight the ones who are communicating with the Raptors, who are really the treasonous ones. And it's really entertaining. Really, it really is. It's a good book.
I'm glad it's improving. It's been good for 3 or 4 issues now. So yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, and it's speeding very quickly to
Infinity
Countdown. Yeah, it's going to be there soon. Jerry Dugan's writing it. He's doing a great job with it. It's really entertaining.
That's good.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk number 711 is also really good. I'm going to give you a very short recap just for time. Hulk is still going through the trials of this gauntlet here. He advances from 2 to 3. Meanwhile, the warlord who's controlling the planet keeps trying to summon monsters through the portal that can challenge him, but nobody's able to. And finally, they're able to find one at the very end, and it's Odin's son. And they have the little line from the movie where he's like, "Oh, this guy, he's a friend from," and then he gets smacked in the face with Yarnborn, and you see it's Odin's son.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. It was a good book. I'm into that issue.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got series, I should say.
It's got this Mad Max vibe to it. You know, it's the car. It's, you know, the tournament of the champions or whatever, and it's good, man.
Yeah. Next we have Luke Cage number 168,
which you've already confessed to not reading.
I didn't read it. I skimmed it. I don't care.
It's okay.
I mean, the Ringmaster's still in control. He's kind of mining some kind of substance out there he's using to make his head actually bigger under that top hat, which I don't understand or care, because used to be top hat was magical. Now apparently his head's magical. Okay, whatever. You know, they fight. The mine collapses on Luke. There you go.
Yeah, it was the Frosty the Snowman principle. The hat was magic.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. Now apparently his head's somehow getting bigger. Yeah.
Then we have Mighty Thor number 107. The realms are in disarray. There's war on every realm. Thor is fighting on all of them. She's unable to really assist in the ways that she wants to. She hasn't slept in weeks. So she has gone back to Earth for help. And we find her sitting in a bar, arm wrestling Hercules. And by the way, on what page is this? 3 or 4? Page 5. They're sitting in a tiki bar, and they're arm wrestling, but you see all these patrons at the bar. All of them are Marvel employees, including Jason Aaron, who's sitting at the bar. He's the bald guy with the beard. That's Jason Aaron.
I really enjoyed this issue, by the way.
I really did.
I didn't notice that, but okay, keep going.
Yeah, like the guy behind the bar is Chip Zdarsky. The bald guy's Bendis. I think that's one of the editors in the back. Anyway, so they're arm wrestling, and if you're wondering why they're arm wrestling, it's because she's come back to Earth to ask for the Olympian gods for help in fighting for Asgard and the other realms. And Hercules, being the egomaniac that he is like, well, I'll help you if you can beat me in an arm wrestling contest. That's when Odinson shows up, throws his axe to the table, and says, "We don't have time for this. You really need to get with it." And Thor explains, "Look, I was just trying to get some help. You know, we weren't just arm wrestling to goof off. This had a purpose." And of course, Hercules says, "Yes, I'll help you." And his comment about Hercules being sober is really funny. Yeah, sober Hercules who apologizes. The world truly has gone mad.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we see we find Volstagg after he whatever he encountered is the War Thor. I think it was Mangog that he got a hold of him. Beat the crap out of him. They don't know what they're going to do. So Odinson tries to convince Thor that she needs to be Jane Foster for a little while. She needs to go back to being Jane Foster before she forgets who she is. She agrees, and then she goes to Odin's door and starts banging on the door saying, you're neglecting your realm. Everything is in disarray, and it's all your fault. All the people of Asgard agree with her. Then Cole shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have you all executed for sedition." When Odin comes out of the door and does his Odin thing and rant and raves and screams at Jane Foster when
Thor's mother, whose name I can't remember.
Yeah, I was trying to think of her name.
Freya.
Freya comes in and says, "Look, she's right. You all need to quit fighting." I forget why she was injured or out of the picture.
It happened a while back.
Is it Loki stabbed her with a poison knife or something?
She was in the Odin sleep for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what was going on. Meanwhile, Jane, having become Jane again, has passed out and seems to be succumbing to the cancer that's killing her. When we go to see Heimdall, who is about to be attacked by Mangog. Yeah, it was a really good issue. This whole Thor saga has been a whole lot to keep track of. It's a lot of threads running, but they're all kind of coming together right now, and it's really good.
It is. That was a great issue. Let me back up a moment. Mm-hmm. We both blew off that Luke Cage book, but when you're a really great artist, you can go by one name. And Raza did the cover for that book. It's a great cover.
Great. The cover looks really good.
The cover's great. Some more art that's good is Jim Chaling's art in Marvel 2-in-1. And I enjoyed
this book thoroughly.
I had my doubts about this when it began, but I can tell you now, it's on like issue. I think I've got issue 6 and 7 in there by my bed to be read, and it's really good. I mean, the art continued to be good. The artist had to leave after 2 or 3 issues, but it continues to be good. It opens with Ben at a dinner memorializing Reed and giving away some kind of scientific award. Then you've got Spider-Man showing up, and he tells Ben, even though I sold the Baxter building, I got all your stuff in storage. Here's where it is. He goes there. And Dune shows up and essentially gives him a device that is Reed's last will and testament, telling Ben what he wants to do. And of course, Ben and Vic still aren't getting along. Then the thing goes looking for Johnny Storm, who is just in a bad mood. Yes, he's broke, but he's also realizing that his powers are fading away, and somehow his powers are getting weaker, and I will discuss that in the next issue. I won't go into how it's happening, but yeah, it's a good story. It really is. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have been looking forward to this. After the first issue, this is going to be one of my new favorite series.
Yeah, and it everyone knows the Fantastic Four are coming back, and this is just paving the way for it.
Yeah, this is all lead up to them coming back, to assume Ben and Johnny finding where they are. And
I assumed that when Fantastic Four launched, that this book would be canceled or rolled into it. At least in the most recent previews I read, we're going to get both, which is this book and Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And there's a little backup story at the end that kind of reintroduces the Fantastic Four. That's really good too. Normally those little backup stories are just kind of whatever, but it's really heartfelt. It's really good.
Yeah. Do we care about Monsters Unleashed #9?
Some scientists in San Francisco have been doing experiments and have accidentally created giant bees. So now Kai and the monsters have to save San Francisco from giant bees. That's Monsters Unleashed #9.
There you go. Miss Marvel.
Giant bees.
Miss Marvel #25. Now, the 25th issue of a book should be something to celebrate.
Yes.
Maybe a double-sized issue.
That's what I was expecting.
Maybe some good alternate covers. Instead, Kamala is questioning why she's Miss Marvel and whether or not she's needed and all these things. And what you find is a group of her friends from high school are impersonating her. And they're going out. They're going out trying to do her work while she's gone. And it's not ending well for any of them. Eventually, this mad scientist gets released from jail, and then the Crimson Dagger's looking for Kamala too. I don't know, man.
I didn't even know what was happening in this book when I started reading it. I was like, wait, why is Kamala gone? Who's this? What's going on? And in the meantime, some crazy lady's experimenting on old people at the old home.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, dude, maybe it's going somewhere, and I have faith in this book, but this was not its strongest issue.
This was not its strongest issue. No.
I have faith in the book because I've enjoyed it thoroughly, but not this one.
Yeah,
not this one at all. Moving on to our Star Wars books, we have Poe Dameron number 22. This is the conclusion of the big heist that they're trying to pull. Trying to get Lor San Tekka out of prison. It is neat because it kind of goes back and forth of where Leia is discussing the plans with Black Squadron while those things are playing out in real time. And she talks about how she's been around the smugglers a whole lot and she's paid attention and she knows how to pull off a crime. And like, you gotta have a distraction, you gotta have misdirection, you gotta have a good lie, and you gotta have a contingency plan. So they're able to distract the people on this planet enough to get Lor San Tekka out of the prison and back on the ship. But unfortunately, things go awry when two cloaked strangers manage to hijack Leia's ship before they can get back on it and take off with it, along with Poe Dameron's X-Wing. And it turns out that those two people are Rex and some other lady that Poe has vexed in his time. So yeah, it was good.
There you go. Sounds like it.
Dr. Aphra was pretty good too. Let me navigate to the book. She's being blackmailed by 000 and into essentially she's being blackmailed into putting a mercenary team together in order to go to this planet to steal some information from the Clone Wars that's still out there. The B story that's happening is this lieutenant who, what was her name? Dadgummit. Lieutenant Tolvin is going to be executed for failing to stop Dr. Aphra. And just before they're about to execute her, she gets word that she's actually been promoted to another command. And now she's going to be part of the what'd they call it? It's essentially the spy ring of the Empire.
Okay.
Dr. Aphra and her mercenary team go to Skako, which is, if you're familiar with the Clone Wars, this will make more sense to you. But the Techno Union was a big part of the Separatists during the Clone Wars. They made up a large faction of the Separatists movement, and there's some information and stuff there that they need. This whole issue is really moving people into place for a new story that's going to be told in the next coming issues.
Cool.
Yeah. It was all right.
Good.
What was your favorite book this week?
There are 3 very good books. X-Men Gold number 18, Thor, whatever it is, 702, and Marvel 2-in-1 number 1. I'm going to go with Thor 702.
Okay. That was almost mine, but Defenders number 8 really, really did it for me. Yeah. It was the flashback with Michael Oeming's art that I was just like, yeah, this is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, you gotta read that, man. I don't know why you're not.
Because I'm reading 73 other things and living my life so fast that I forgot my wife's anniversary. Our anniversary.
Yeah, well, you're going on vacation tomorrow, so it'll be all right.
That's what I keep telling myself. Yes.
Okay. What was the dump this week?
Jeez, dude,
I don't know.
I was looking at the new dump.
Yeah, I don't know what for some reason that didn't get included in the notes. I assume more Captain Marvel stuff and yeah, anyway. Nobody cares about the dump anyway. We had enough books this week that we're going to skip a classic read. Do check out our other show, What's Next. It's a shorter show where we talk about what else you can be reading in Marvel Unlimited that is good. It's a deep dive into the digital long boxes of Marvel Unlimited. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
And follow us on Twitter at 6 Months Behind. Pat, before we go, as is customary, bestow some wisdom upon us.
Patience and wisdom is the only way to survive in the world of idiots.
Man, I hope so.
Yes.
Because it's an idiot's world out there.
Oh, dude.
See you guys next week.
Peace.